freedom is under such threat in the UK that as of Friday, a friend and colleague of mine was ruled in a court of law that she will go to prison if she speaks to me directly or indirectly, and she has been charged with no crime. That is the state of justice in the UK at the moment.
We have enjoyed the right to trial by jury for 800 years until today. The British government abolished the right to trial by jury because juries were regularly returning not guilty verdicts in the kind of cases that the Keir Starmer cabinet, almost all of them awash in blood-soaked shekels, bought and paid for by the Israel lobby, could not allow to go on. After all, they have in excess of 2,000 people awaiting trial on terrorism charges for holding up a cardboard placard. If they all got trial by jury, not a single one of them would be convicted, compounding, heaping humiliation on the British government that foolishly ordered the police to arrest them. So they put up the Deputy Justice Secretary in Britain to announce that there would be no more jury trials in Britain. Who is the Deputy Justice?
No more jury trials? What the hell? So if your judge is bought and paid for, you're fucked.
Secretary, a woman called Sackman, whose grandfather was an Israeli terrorist, land and house thief in occupied Palestine. Where did Sarah Sackman get her legal training? You're not going to believe this one. She got it in Israel. She's an Israeli lawyer, and she's the Deputy Justice Secretary in Britain, and she has just abolished the ancient Magna Carta right to trial by jury.
Pax Silica. Check that out. Pax Judaica. Check that out. Check out my last few videos. This will explain it all. Israel's going to be the next superpower, so they say, once they take out Iran. And I believe they will use nukes if they got to, which they don't have, but they will use them. Israel will use it, and they're going to become the superpower. And since they can control the Federal Reserve, they control the politicians. They've already flooded our countries, the Western countries, so they're shitholes now. And then these shitholes are gonna get even worse because we can't like support any of this. We have no means to support any of this. So once we go down, they're gonna become the biggest force to be reckoned with financially. So they're gonna be the world leaders like Britain was, America, and now freaking Israel. Yeah, AI monitoring. They're in all the key places and businesses all over the world. They want to run live AI monitoring feeds of all the countries' infrastructure. Yeah, why would they want to do that? Click, gone, right? So this is called Pax Judaica, AI live monitoring of infrastructure. Scary times, people, scary times. Just look what they're doing to our youth. It's so
I was
sad.
Loading up my summer semester, and one of the required courses was DEI. So I chose women's gender studies. I never would have chosen that kind of class. And every single assignment and discussion board was very liberal.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Let me hear that to make sure I heard that.
And one of the required courses was DEI. So I chose
DEI is a required course. Oh my God, man. We are screwed.
women's gender studies. I never would have chosen that kind of class. And every single assignment and discussion board was very liberal sided. So I did my best to just play a neutral role. But we were assigned a final project worth half of our entire grade. It was about feminism. Being an ex-athlete, and in the recent times, I've seen the stories of Riley Gaines and a couple other athletes who have come out about having to compete against men. I thought, what better than to talk about.
And just so you know, they made it now illegal for these types of people to compete against women. Wow.
What's happening to feminism right now? What's happening in women's athletics? I submit my project, and a few days later, I receive a notification that my grade has dropped to an F. I figured I forgot to submit it or something. And I look at the comments that the professor left, and it said, Olivia, this is solid work, but you use the term biological woman which is heteronormative, exclusive, and transphobic.
Oh my God. Does that not piss you off? This is a woman here. Was she going into chemistry and shit like that? Like, but she gets freaking nailed because she freaking doesn't use like made up terminology that can change at any second depending on what mood you're freaking in. Oh my God. This has gotta end, man. This has gotta end. Canada's passing laws, man. You can't do nothing now. Anything that they consider wrong, oh no, you're in trouble.
Canadians, listen to what the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Liz Truss, is saying, and then maybe take a look at Mark Carney's track record in Britain and the impact that his policies had on their economy. If you believe all of that was just a coincidence, well, I guess that's your choice. But when you start looking at Canada's economy today and the role that he has played for years advising Justin Trudeau, it's kind of fair to ask if there's a pattern there. People who actually took the time to look into these policies being pushed in 2025 understood that supporting Mark Carney or those aligned with him would have serious consequences for Canada's middle class. What many Canadians should be concerned about is not climate emergency, but the influence of technocratic decision makers shaping economic policy in ways that will weaken the financial stability of everyday Canadians.
I think it is extraordinary that Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job in Britain of the governorship of the Bank of England. He created a lot of the problems that blew up on my watch and that I got blamed for were actually created by him. He backed Labour in the election and Rachel Reeves's policies, which are leading the country to bankruptcy. So why on earth the Liberal Party of Canada has selected this man, I have no idea. And I think it is illegitimate that this guy has never been.
It's because they're ignorant. They're stupid, simple, left-leaning, liberal retards. That's why. And you know what? Me saying that now, because of these new Canadian laws, I can get in trouble for that now. Isn't that unreal?
Elected as a member of parliament in Canada. Justin Trudeau has pursued a lot of the same policies that Europe has been pursuing. And America has raced ahead of us. Back at the turn of the millennium, the average Brit was catching up with the average American in terms of income per head.
Wow.
We are now $34,000 a year behind. We are poorer than Mississippi, which is the poorest American state. And the same is true. The same is true of France and Germany, and to some extent of Canada, because they pursued all of these woke policies. High taxes, high spending, not using their natural resources. And
oh, people, are we going to fight this? Are we going to stand up? We got to just start shaking the shit out of these purple and pink and blue and green-haired little fucking retards. We have to. Otherwise, they're going to end up making us just freaking totally collapse as a society.
Justin Trudeau was the architect of that. And of course, Mark Carney has been the advocate of these policies. So I don't know what is going on in Canada, but in the same way as I think people in Britain need to wake up to what the real threat to our country is, I think they need to wake up in Canada.
Liz is right. I honestly don't know why so many people assume that he is here to help. He has been placed here to dismantle Canada and the economy, and he is going to stop at nothing. Communism, here we come.
Yep. I've been saying this. I preach it. I scream it, man. Cryptocurrency. Oh, some people are like, oh no, digital currency. Motherfucker, you are in digital currency. All right, so now that we have that established, you can get dollars on the blockchain, get more interest for your dollars on the blockchain. Crypto exchanges have every single dollar backed. Every dollar is backed, not like the bank. The bank doesn't have your money. It's gone. They're making money. You make zero. You keep supporting this system. Get crypto, get stable coins, earn interest, 6%, 5%, 3%. Earn some money. Get into DeFi, earn 30%, 20%. It can get pretty crazy, but that's more risk, right? Crypto, get your own personal wallet. Links down below. I don't know what you're waiting for. You watch too much TV or something. You hear things and you don't research things. Research. I beg of you. Research crypto. Do your research. Decentralize. Get your own crypto wallet. You'll thank me later.
So I'm in Ottawa and I was just in question period and I watched the Liberals and the Conservatives debate in question period, and The IRGC is the largest funded terrorist organization in the world. And I remember people coming up to me and telling me that there were people living in Canada as terrorists. And so the Conservatives were pressing Mark Carney. There are 700 of these terrorists living in Canada.
I thought there was
in the
more.
words of one person, one is too many, 700. So they were pressed on this, and just nothing, just word salad, just sloughing it off. Mark Carney got up, he didn't make any sense. Lena Diab, the immigration minister, got up, she didn't make any sense. Gary got up, he didn't make any sense. And I just think it's really important you guys don't let this story get buried, because that's what they try to do. They try to say all of these things. 700 terrorists live in Canada because the government won't deport them or fine them. Even Lebanon.
Wow, how did they get here, right? No checks, no nothing, just come on over. Yeah, sure, come on in. I'm gonna start losing it on people because my boss, who I work for in the summertime, he says, we need these workers. Are you out of your freaking mind? How do you talk to somebody who says these things and actually believes it? Anyway, weird.
Lebanon. So Lebanon is in the Middle East. They have openly said they will hunt down any of these terrorists and deport them. That's a huge statement for a country in the Middle East. We're Canada, and we're not even committing to this. Mark Carney didn't even show up last night to the debate on the war in Iran. This is who's leading your country. It's not okay, and you need to speak up, and you need to write to your MP. Do you want a terrorist? I mean, we have pedophiles already walking around, and now you have 700 IRGC terrorists walking around Canada, and the Liberal government has no intention or plan to deport them.
What the fuck? PDF files? Terrorists? And our Liberal government just doesn't care, but yet almost half of this country is like supporting that. When do we wake the hell up? Or when do we have to force these people to wake up and take back our country? Rupert Lowe, check him out. UK. Once he gets in power, he's kicking out everybody. Back to scratch. I love it. I'm all for it here too. Screw them. This channel is about freedom. Yeah, something that people think they have, but I'm telling you, we are nowhere near as close as we should be to freedom. Check this out.
Publishing something like that, I might as well retire. I'd be finished.
I mean, I'm just curious. What in this data makes you think it will be as catastrophic to your career as you think?
What was he so afraid of? The study was a bombshell.
18,468 subjects, 1,957 of them were fully unvaccinated. When comparing the health outcomes of the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, they found an increased risk in the vaccinated of several chronic health conditions. The vaccinated subjects were over 4 times more likely to have an asthma diagnosis.
4.29 times in the adjusted. And that seems, I've looked at a lot of studies, that's 3.26 to 5.65.
They also found 3 times the risk for atopic diseases,
which is kind of a subset of allergic diseases.
They found a almost 6 times risk for autoimmune disease.
The autoimmune diseases this paper looked at include thrombocytopenic purpura, rheumatoid arthritis, SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, MS, multiple sclerosis, and Guillain-Barré syndrome. They mentioned there are over 80 different autoimmune diseases, and what their data showed for autoimmunity, 6 times increase in those who got vaccines when compared to the unvaccinated.
Which is staggering, because autoimmune disorders really represent...
You know what else is staggering? Anybody with a fucking brain knew that when they freaking went full on in on vaccines, that all of a sudden autism shot through the freaking roof. Gee, doesn't take a genius, right?
Significant morbidity and health costs and suffering, accrued over a lifetime.
Neurodevelopmental disorders.
What kind of numbers are we talking about? Do you remember?
5.5 times risk for neurodevelopmental disorders.
So this doctor did the test on the shots, and this is what they find. He didn't report it because he said he might as well retire. He said his career would be over if he put the truth out there. You can't even put the truth out there.
Disorders.
We know that the immune system is intimately connected with both brain development and brain functioning. And so when the immune system gets triggered by illness, potentially by vaccination, you can get neuropsychiatric symptoms, presumably related to brain inflammation and, immune processes in the brain.
Jeez.
2.92 times the amount of motor disabilities, 4.47 times the amount of speech disorders in the vaccinated compared to the unvaccinated.
This study was just on 18,000 people, and they all got messed up. Holy crap. And you couldn't report this? This is unbelievable.
3 times the rate of developmental delay.
They found the same things I found related to allergy and autoimmunity. Also, 6 times more acute and chronic ear infections.
Interestingly, there were several health conditions where they couldn't even do this analysis because there were none in the unvaccinated group. The way that the mathematical formulas work, you can't have a 0 in any one group and be able to compare risk.
For example, there were 262 children who had ADHD in the vaccinated group. Amongst the unvaccinated group, there were 0 cases of ADHD. 0.
These ones are just mind-boggling. These conditions were not found at all in almost 2,000 unvaccinated kids. 0 brain dysfunction, 0 diabetes, 0 behavioral problems, 0 learning disabilities, 0 intellectual disabilities, 0 tics, and 0 other psychological disabilities in the unvaccinated.
Huh. Wow. So let's trust the science, right? So this doctor just did this test that proved they're trying to kill us. And then we have to pay for the rest of our lives with all these other medications to take for the side effects that we just got from being forced to take their medication. Follow the science. Yeah, I think we should from now on. That is pretty bad. If you want to know what's causing the destruction of the West, our civilization, the way of life that we've enjoyed, do you want to know what's destroying that? Open your fucking ears and open your mind.
In 1932, the Jews, who made up only 1% of the world's population, accounted for 34% of the world's dope peddlers and 47% of robberies, 47% of crooked games of chance, 82% of international crime organizations, and 98% of dealers in prostitution. The most common expressions in the jargon of international gangsters and criminals stem from Hebrew and Yiddish words. In 1932, the Jews, who made up only 1%.
Check out my most recent videos, man. Facts. They pretty much control everything, and everything is shit, right? Just think about it. They're destroying everything. Meanwhile, they make all the countries they control send them money. America gives Israel $18 billion a year, something like that. Just gives it to them. Yeah, your money they just give away to these people that commit genocide and think nothing of you. They do not like you whatsoever. I've seen too many videos. Check out all your politicians, AIPAC. They all have a Jewish handler called AIPAC. Check it out. You can look, the more you look into this, the more you'll get sickened. I'm not anti-Semitic. I just see what I'm seeing. I don't care if they were purple. I don't care if they were green. I see a bunch of green people on the inside controlling things to their favor. I see it and I can't unsee it. It's just that simple. So everybody, subscribe, like. We have to push this message out, and check out my past few videos if you want to see more in-depth things that have been going on in the world. Thank you.